All right, today we're going on a pretty wild journey. We're diving deep into the human mind to try and understand one of its most profound and, let's be honest, most baffling creations, gods.
You know, this quote from the French essayist Montaigne it nails the puzzle we're exploring. Here we are, a species that can't even whip up a simple worm from scratch, and yet we've dreamed up entire pantheons of all-powerful beings. How does that even happen?
So that's the big question, isn't it? Why us? Out of every single species on this planet, why are we the only ones who build temples, who pray, who look up at the night sky and see gods? Well, the answer isn't really in a theology class. It's buried deep in our own evolutionary past. So our story doesn't start with belief. Not really. It starts with the hardware that makes belief possible in the first place, the human brain. Before we could even think about gods, our minds had to go through some major upgrades.
Think of our evolution like a series of critical software updates. So you go back about 2.3 million years, you've got Homo habilis. They developed a kind of intuitive physics, that basic understanding of cause and effect, how to hit one rock with another just right to get a sharp edge. Then, about 1.7 million years ago, Homo erectus got a big social upgrade. They mastered cooperation, hunting in groups, controlling fire. That fire pit became the first social network, right? A place to share food and information. Every single one of these steps was forging new connections in the brain, accidentally laying all the groundwork for this massive leap that was coming with Homo sapiens.
Okay, so fast forward to about 200,000 years ago. This is where things get really interesting. Our ancestors, the first Homo sapiens, had 3 cognitive breakthroughs that totally rewired their inner world. And these weren't just little tweaks, they were absolute game changers.
The first big leap? Self-awareness. That's the moment we could think about ourselves as an individual, as a me. You can actually see this dawn in kids today with the mirror test. You put a little red dot on a toddler's nose and put them in front of a mirror. If they touch their own nose instead of the reflection, boom, they've crossed this incredible cognitive line. They get that the person in the mirror is them.
Next up, our brain got this amazing new piece of software, theory of mind. This is the big one. It's understanding that other people have their own thoughts and beliefs and that they might be different from yours. There's this classic test with 2 dolls, Sally and Anne. A kid watches Sally put her ball in a basket and then leave. Anne comes in and moves the ball to a box. Then you ask the kid, where will Sally look for her ball when she comes back? A really young kid will say the box, because they know where the ball is. But a slightly older kid, they'll say the basket. They get that Sally doesn't know what they know. That ability to see from someone else's perspective, a massive evolutionary win.
And the third leap, wow, this one might just be the most important of all. It's called autobiographical memory. And look, this isn't just remembering facts like who the first president was. This is the ability to literally travel in time in your head, to feel the emotions of your first day at school, and, crucially, to imagine yourself in the future. Our brain had built itself a time machine.
But, and this is a huge but, this incredible new time machine came with a terrifying side effect. A bug in the system, you could say, and it created a problem that was uniquely human. For the very first time, a species on Earth could look ahead and see not just tomorrow's sunrise or the next winter, but the absolute, unavoidable end of its own life. We became the only animal on the planet that knew it was going to die. And that knowledge, it created this deep existential terror that demanded some kind of answer. So how did the human mind cope with that? Well, the anthropologist Edward Tyler laid out a pretty compelling theory. Let's break it down. Step 1. You see someone alive 1 minute, breathing and talking, and the next, they're not. So early humans figured something must have left the body, some kind of life force, a soul, a spirit. Step 2. They found what they thought was proof in their dreams. Imagine your grandmother, who passed away, suddenly shows up in your dream, as real as ever. Well, for them, that was powerful evidence that her spirit was still out there somewhere. Step 3 was just the logical next step. If these spirits are real and we can see them in dreams, well, we should probably honor them. And just like that, you have the very beginnings of religion, ancestor worship.
And if you want to understand just how unique this whole idea was, just look at chimpanzees, our closest relatives. How do they react to death? It's completely different. They might get a little anxious, but for the most part, they just ignore the body. There are no burials, no concept of a soul. With our new brain tools, we humans literally built ourselves a whole different reality to live in. So we have this personal, psychological solution to the terror of death.
But that idea was about to get supercharged by one of the biggest revolutions in all of human history.
About 12,000 years ago, everything changes. The agricultural revolution kicks off. And this wasn't just about figuring out how to plant seeds. No, the real game changer was that we stopped wandering. We settled down. And when we went from nomads to villagers, it had this huge, unexpected effect on how we thought about our dead ancestors.
I mean, just think about the difference. As a hunter-gatherer, you're constantly on the move. Burials are pretty simple, and those ancestral spirits are tied to places you might not see again for years. But the moment you settle down, whoa, now for the first time, generations of your family are buried in the exact same place. You have ancestral lands. The dead weren't just memories anymore, they were a permanent physical part of your town. Their importance grew, and so did their power.
And you can literally see this evolution in the archaeological record. You look at Göbekli Tepe, maybe the world's first temple, from 11,000 years ago. 1,000 years later in Jericho, you find human skulls covered in plaster and decorated. That's a really clear sign of ancestor worship. And then, as societies got even bigger and you have the first cities in Mesopotamia, well, now you've got bigger problems. Ancestor spirits aren't quite enough to manage things like irrigation or laws for thousands of people. So the spirits evolved again into something bigger, a whole pantheon of specialized, higher gods, a god for the sun, a god for the water, even a god for justice. They were beings who could manage the brand new problems of civilization.
And this really gets to the heart of it, which was summed up so perfectly by the anthropologist Ernest Becker. He said, "We became gods with anuses." What a phrase, right? It means we have this incredible, self-aware consciousness that can think about eternity, but it's trapped inside a physical body that gets hungry, gets sick, and will eventually die. Religion, from this point of view, is the giant, elaborate project to try and fix that terrifying contradiction.
And that kind of brings us to a final thought to chew on. Our brains evolved this amazing, complex solution to the problem of being aware of our own death. But our minds haven't stopped evolving. So the question I want to leave you with is this. What's the next great problem our consciousness is going to create for itself? And what new, maybe even unimaginable solutions will we come up with to solve it?